So this potentially opens up for a Smolder lock-in at some point, but one of the things that we have talked about is, well, what is the answer to that Smolder? And it feels like now, with it losing a lot of games yesterday, is anyone willing to blind pick that? Well, not in this game. Varus being locked into Shaya, who's coming up into the LPL as an LDL prospect and done pretty well for himself considering the state of the team. And that Varus helps to be lane dominant. What the Gala and Hung wants to take into that lane. It's typically been quite hard to deal with Varus, at least early on.
Yeah. The flexibility of Varus as well, where you can change what style of AD carry you've locked in over the course of the draft by going for the lethality versus the on-hit. Smolder does come through though for LNG. They're still feeling confident on this pick. And it's not going to be the Kai'Sa that we've been seeing a little bit of versus him. He already knows he's up against that Maris. Scout going to go with an eco.
So this will be Gala's first Smolder game, and with Scout going towards Nico, that is such a power pick for this player. I feel like Scout has not had the endless champion pool which we've sometimes seen in the past from him. I think last year when he was flexing between a lot of AD mid laners and a lot of playmakers as well, he was in a real point of power. He has, however, though, in this year, despite having less success on less champions, been very good on the Nico. It allows him to get on top of very immobile bot lanes like the Varus Renata, despite the fact that they are lane dominant and potentially can rule the bot side of the map. Misstep once, Scout pounces.
Certainly can. Whether he will is a different question. We've seen games where I felt like Scout would pounce. So far the split he didn't. So maybe today. Again, he's been getting a couple of MVPs recently. Perhaps he's back. We'll have to see. Aatrox up in the top side for Burdol. As we look towards what else is going to come through here. You could go for support alongside the Smolder. Could go for a jungler that you prioritize, if that's something you want to look for. But it does seem like support is going to be the answer.
So typically alongside Smolder, you want to draft a support champion that can stop him getting dived and stop him just getting brutalized in lane. Often we've seen Alistar and Braum, but the thing about the Rakan which we see here is that despite the fact that Rakan is very unlikely to land a W onto Renata, because Renata can cancel your grand entrance with the handshake, if you hit a Q for the healing, that can keep Smolder in lane. So we'll now have to track some of that early laning phase and see whether Varus and Renata are getting the value which they need to stop Gala getting online on this late game Smolder hyper carry. However, this does mean that we've got a lot of junglers potentially going to be taken off the table, and that might just influence how bot lane 3v3 can happen. Because obviously the early jungles are stuff like the Vi, the Xinsao, the Lee Sin, all of them could potentially be hit.
So Twisted Fate taken off the board as well. One thing I do want to mention when it comes to the jungle and the top lane, there's been a little bit of Wukong being played in solo queue by both Zika and WeiWei. So just want to throw that out, just in case we see some shenanigans in the draft today. But that Twisted Fate top has been something Zika's been playing in solo queue as well. So I think a reasonable ban to try and save Burdol in the laning phase.
Talia away from Haichao is important as well. It's the mid laner that can roam to bot lane most easily, especially having early priority and then also a global which can carry down towards bot side. So that being taken away, I think is very important for LNG. It just makes sure that Gala and Hung aren't going to be dove quite as easily. The Lee Sin been banned away from WeiWei. It's another one of those 3v3 champions being taken out. I think Xinsao is maybe the last remaining jungler, which I think should be very prioritized in regards to being able to impact our bot early, and it is locked in.
Aggressive jungler for WeiWei. And a lot of ability to make things happen in that jungle support duo as well. Like the Rakan will easily set up for Zinzao to be able to get into the back line and deal a lot of damage. Over to LGD though, they've got to pick their jungler, they've got to pick their mid laner as well. For anyone that's out of loot, Azir disabled currently on this patch, so is bugged at the minute. So
Thank you, CB
Azir won't be an option for LGD to go for.
Yeah, it was chrono braked in the CB LoL because of a visual bug when he does his little slide and glide, and that means it is globally disabled now, which changes the mid lane pool an awful lot. It means that if you're going to pick up a mage, something like the Orianna, feels like it is much more viable in its own right. Now, last pick for top lane for Zika, it's hovering over a load of different picks. Going into the Aatrox, a fairly known matchup, going to be the K'Sante, and often what you see when you lock in this matchup is K'Sante and Aatrox, they don't get individual leads over each other at that end of the game. What they end up doing is trading front line for flanking potential. With that K'Sante locked in, Feels like the front-to-back composition with a ton of engage, potentially with a flanking Nico or a Rakan, is set up for LNG, whereas on the other side, it feels like LGD, they want to brutalize you in the early game and then start rolling over with big damage from Aatrox and Varus as they get ahead of the game.
Yeah, a lot of potential damage coming out from this LGD roster, that is for sure, and a hell of a combo with a rare Orianna mixed in there as well. We'll see if LGD can make these pieces work together. But I'm going to be looking towards the side of LNG here. They've got that Smolder once again. Now, typically we've seen Smolder leading to slower gameplay. However, we saw LNG were one of the teams that showed us a way of beating Smolder is faster gameplay towards the top side of the map, trying to snowball ahead of the Smolder. See if that's something LGD could bring to the table here, since they've not opted for the kind of AP Kai'Sa route that we've also seen succeed.
You know, when you've got the K'Sante into the Aatrox, there's not really a snowbally match topside, so it's not necessarily one that you can play as aggressively around to actually get a game with winning advantage. That's the break point, right? You've got to do so well on topside that it doesn't matter what happens with the Smolder. Let's see if LGD can prove us wrong on that front and start things off fast, start things off in a really aggressive.
Let's see if they can pull it off. I certainly hope they can. I'm ready to see an aggressive early game. I'm ready to see a bit of a snowball here as we head on to Summoner's Rift. It's game number 1 here between LNG and LGD, the two most similar acronyms available in the LPL. I don't think we're getting JIOs today, mate.
No, no, that's sad. Game 1 of the day. It's bright and early for us over in the EU time zones. It's a little bit later into, of course, the home arena of LNG as they walk onto the Rift for game 1. But, you know, we like to leave a little bit of space. Gives our voices a break and potentially allows the crowd to show theirs.
There's one thing that I'm desperate to see in League of Legends that I've yet to witness. You know, you're always seeing Nico on the minimap pretending to be a different champion like this. We've got 2 Smolders on the minimap right now. I'm desperately waiting for the game where we've got Nico and Shen in the same team. At the start of the game, we can say, WTF 2 Shens. Like, you know, it's just such low-hanging fruit, but I feel like I've been waiting for it for a long time now.
I personally really want to see all of the different stealing champions on one team. So you have, like, Silas, Viego, and Nico. So you don't even get to have, like, you don't get to have your skin, you don't get to have your ultimate, you don't get to have, like, your very body and your true kit as well. I feel like that would be ultimate insult to injury if someone just ends up walking away with, like, everything that your character can own.
Yeah, just nothing but thieves. Nothing but thieves. Not going to see that today, though, unfortunately. Let's talk a little bit about early game, about pathing here. Meteor and WeiWei both starting on the top side of the map, so you anticipate pathing down towards the bottom side here, playing towards this Smolder for both sides of the ball.
So this is why it's really important that you see the Rakan hitting this level 1 Q as well. So Gala and Hung, they took a bit of trade damage, because of course you do versus Varus. It's Varus in laning phase. Hitting the Rakan Q gives you a bit of that sustain. One of the reasons why Rakan has been so prominent for the last while is because of that Q healing as well. Now, we did talk about into the second round of the draft. Okay, well, jungle's not been picked yet. What 3v3 jungle champions can you lock in to help dive that bot side or at least pressure it? Someone like the Xin Zhao is locked in by WeiWei as a takeaway from Meteor, and someone that can just really be the early game pressure valve for this Smolder. Whereas that Rel might find it harder to make things work, but still has a pretty strong level 3 mark. Have to see whether LGD can leverage that, as both junglers are on the bot side of the map now, potentially going to meet.
I mean, the level 3, honestly, for both junglers is pretty intense, I guess is the way I would describe it. They like to go in and they like to do damage. Could be looking towards grubs for Meteor as well, obviously. Having the Aatrox pushing in the top side, and the fact that Rel is just so damn good at killing grubs as well can be an attractive objective. But the priority on the bottom side here for LGD might set up this crowd. WeiWei is going to be the first one on the scene though, and with Smite available, he's going to grab that for free.
So what's Meteor going to do? Not going to get onto the crab first, and this is an all-in now for Gala and Hung.
This is aggressive, but it might just work. Xiao is so low on HP. Another Q would do the job, but Gala can't quite get in range. And it means that it's Hung to go down. First blood LGD.
Oh, after all the great workers, we saw 2 or 3 Rakan Qs hit an early lane, which meant that Gala and Hung could look for that fight in the first place, despite the fact that they're against a Varus Renata. WeiWei gets down to the bot side of the map first, but they're just not connected. This JinJiao is not coming to 3v3 bot side, and it shows up in that play too. LGD feels like they are thrown that play on a silver platter to put this bot lane behind.
And it's just, again, like you say, the kind of discoordination of LGD there. The fact that clearly WeiWei is not going to be a part.
I know the acronyms are.
LNG. There's going to be a lot of that today. Whenever these two teams play, it's always a struggle. But it's all in as your JinJiao moves away and Rel's in the river.
And like, everything about this draft was, hey folks, let's 3v3 bot. Where's the 3? You've got a 3v2 there. WeiWei's not on the same page, and not for the first time, plan A for LNG in the early game has gone a bit awry, and now I'm a little bit worried as to whether this will lead to anything more.
The funny thing is, I don't even feel like it's the plan going awry, because I don't feel like the plan was ever attempted. Like, WeiWei had his own plan. His plan was double scuttle crabs, and well, got that for himself. He's up in CS right now. So, you know, it's the small wins for LNG. it's WeiWei choosing his own wins to go for here.
LNG very much taking the turtle shell to heart there and getting themselves some other crustacean. Well, it's not even crustacean. Another shell. I was going to say like a haha, turtle, scuttle crab is like a turtle, but it's completely not. Either way, that's about as good as it gets for LNG.
Do you want to know something funny about the Rift Scuttler? He's not called the Scuttle Crab. That's purely a community name. Nobody seems to realize that it's a community name. It's called the Rift Scuttler.
Rift Scuttler,
It's not a crab. It's never been called a crab. It's just the community decided it's a crab.
It looks a little bit like a horseshoe crab, but it's probably a little bit more. It's like a trilobite.
I mean, like, anatomically speaking, it might be a crab for all I know. I'll leave that to Mazel. That's his field of expertise.
True,
but I'm just talking in terms of, like, naming things in a video game as opposed to the actual biology of the situation.
Dragon goes down either way, though, as we can move on to bigger and better fauna, as that will be a buff taken from LNG, despite the fact that the early bot side presence from them didn't work out at first. That's a win for them. They also dropped some wards, which will spot Haichao and Meteor heading towards bot side river. Wave crashes on bot side. You can see there's a plate being taken by the Varus Renata already. We did say, hey, let's check what's going to happen with the Varus Renata. When you lock that in against the small, that you need to get that early game pressure. This is the strongest point of your game. They've already taken some gold. They've got that kill in there. So that's at least going well for LGD, even if they give up the objective.
So far, so good in that regard. So slightly up in gold as Hung. Sort of toying with the idea of threatening something in the bottom side. I don't really think that's 2v2 they can look for right now. Although Sheen there for Gala is usually a big spike for most champions. Scout moving up towards the top side here, but we'll just grab that honey fruit and you expect him to move back towards that mid lane.
And we slow things down. Hung trying to potentially find a gap from that bot lane wave, looking at the Haichao. King pops.
There we go, the chain CC can land, and look at that! Okay, LNG, I see you, we're back on the map. That's a little bit more like it.
And how the heck does Rakan get to roam out of lane against a Varus Renata? This should not be happening. Honestly, credit to Hung, despite the failed all-in earlier into the lane. I feel like actually Hung on an individual level, hitting all of the Rakan Qs, getting out of lane here. He's overperforming in a lane that should be pinning him down, so good job of them to get something going into mid, and he picks up the kill himself.
Fantastic stuff from Hung. Gets a good roam. Scout with a good setup with the flash there. Everything looking positive for LNG in that play. And this is, oh, hang on. World Ender comes on through. Immediately answered with the Ghost. Burdol just backs off. He's like, okay, got your summoner. I'm happy with that.
So often in this particular top lane matchup, it is just a trade of a Ghost and an ultimate, or ult for ult, or something like that. It really is more about how they impact later into the game. But of course, if you can remove some fighting tools earlier, that can very much change the way that things will happen around your side of the map just a little bit beyond that. Gala picking up another wave under this turret. See that Xiaoye and JinJiao not really able to demolish the turret. Getting a second plate is nice, but considering that Hung was leaving lane and that Gala's been kind of under turret so much, kind of expected them to do more around spot lane. This is probably going for though.
Well, there's a dragon nearby, that's for sure. You can hear it more than you can see. Loudest ability in the entire game for some reason. We'll just deter the potential threat underneath the tower. Gala, like you say though, doing so well in terms of just HP in this lane. Managing to withstand a lot of it, like you say, the sustain coming out from Hung, helping out with that, but also just able to clear these waves. Obviously, this is on hit barriers, not lethality, so the poke isn't quite as oppressive, although it is still pretty oppressive.
Yeah, the Q-Max is still something that you see an awful lot from Varus, and I think that over time, balance changes have come in to say, hey, maybe let's make poke less obnoxious, and that means that we have to make the arrow do like enough so the poke build still survives, but we don't want it to be the only prominent build. It's okay, of course, in terms of the Q-Max in regards to how much you can do with even without lethality being built up. You can now see that Gala is almost there towards his Essence Reaver on the bot side of the map. I think it's worth noting as well that, you know, we might be saying, hey, what's happening? Wait, hang on. Okay, he's fine. Okay, he's fine. Okay, all right, okay. Get back.
The ward nearly spotted him. I wonder if you, like, flash for that there. Probably not, right?
The thing is...
He already carries there and all of that.
You have to actually land the CC, so you'd have to do the flash handshake, and the travel time of that, I think it's close. I might do it anyway, but it would be close.
If the ward is further into the pit over the wall, and it does spot it straight away, I think he had time to flash Q it and interrupt the recall. I just don't know if you even get Rakan anyway. Knockups galore in the mid lane, and the same old combo happens again. Haichao just getting eradicated.
And LNG, their mid-jungle support, have managed to make a number of power plays on mid lane now, and this is now a good amount of gold taken away from Haichao, a player who LGD has very often relied on to playmate. Sat at 0 and 2, whereas Scout is now going to have a much more unlocked lane on the Nico. Good news from LNG. This is better early game coordination, at least around that part of the map, than we've seen for most of this split so far. And that's bad news for LGD on the other side of things, because if Scout is set up and unlocked on the Nico, we know that he can do great things, even if he hasn't done as much this split on it.
Oh, Burdol caught by the all-out here. I don't know if they can go for a dive, really, onto this Aatrox. WeiWei with that wave, not even going to look at it. 2 grubs taken for LNG, and WeiWei actually moved up to the top lane there, so just abandoning the 4th grub, just making sure the 5 and 6 can't go through.
I think that's the most important thing that Hung, honestly, a continuation of a pretty great game from him on this Rakan, despite the early 2v2 death. Gets into mid lane a number of times, and you already talked about how the Rakan Xin combo can work really well, but any engaging threat which can then be tagged onto with the Battle Dance and then into the W forward is very, very impactful. We see that with the Nico there. Watch that as the game goes forwards. There are a lot of the mobile carries for LGD to potentially get caught off.
Certainly are. Ult coming out from Gala just to clear as much of the wave as possible. Going to try and defend this turret plate if they can. Hung using his stack to make sure that that happens. Now plates start to go down in this top side as well. Zika using the demolish, using the grubs as well to finish off a couple of plates. And that is the power of Cassante. No damage in his build whatsoever, but he can still take 2 plates, 3 auto attacks.
Just wait until you see like an 8,000 damage health Scion just like slap a turret once and it falls down.
Yeah.
See that Xiaoya and JinJiao are currently alone on the bot side with the Meteor was just roaming down. We've done good work on this turret. We did say, hey, you know, it's not really been that much turret damage given that Hung's been able to get out of lane. Now it's actually started to rack up. And Gala using that ult cooldown to wave clear has at least stopped them from taking that turret. In fact, there has been, I think on current live patch or just coming, there is actually a nerf to Spalder, which is that ultimate cooldown, which feels very low, particularly when you get up to Essence Reaver and Spear of Shojin for massive amounts of ability haste. You can just kind of use that ultimate for wave clear, or you can use it for, of course, pretty much every big fight in the game. But as it stands right now, it's still low enough to be used as a bit of a wave clear machine.
Yeah, you can just use that. You kind of see it's used almost similarly to a lot of Ezreal ults these days, where you just blast it at the minion wave, force the wave in. Can even get you priority for objectives if used at the right time. However, typically, you're the one underneath the tower as opposed to fighting for priority. Meteor on this blue buff, but it was in the brush, so Hung couldn't actually see it happening, and that ward will immediately be swept away. LNG hovering towards this topside. Herald will be entering the map shortly. Perhaps something LNG are looking towards.
Scout, lane. Are they counting minions? Yes, they are. Haichao has been caught out too many times with lacking vision on what Scout and Hung are going to be doing. They have got a couple of defensive wards around bot side of mid. You can see one in this brush. There's one control ward just into the enemy jungle as well. And even though Herald is the objective that's spawning, LGD would much rather try and get this turret bot and get a whole load of gold onto Xiaoye. Again, the LDL lady carry coming up for this team into the LPL proper. Trying to go up against one of the all-time greats, really. LPL and Gala fight potentially starting on bot side, but Hong misses the W.
So first tower taken by LGD, and that'll be a nice little gold spike for them. Almost 1,000 gold up, but not quite. And LNG now clear the wave mid and immediately move up towards this Herald. You don't expect much contention here, although Haichao, while he's reset, he does have TP, and this could be a 5-man play from LGD. So perhaps an opportunity to fight. Scout is in the bottom side, but has TP available as well.
Where's he going to teleport to? There's one board on the blue buff, which could be a flank, but he won't be here for the start of the fight. Here he comes now.
Meteor just snipes it away, and in the meantime, Hung is chunked on out. Xiaoye should be able to grab the Herald. Good start for LGD, and now they're on to Scout as well. That's a kill. Zika should go down too, as he's in a 1v5. Desperately trying to get towards that mid lane, but there's a tower there that's going to ruin everything. 2 kills for LGD, and they take the Herald.
Suddenly, LNG don't know what to do as the fight doesn't quite turn out the way that they want to. They don't get to coordinate between the big clump and then Scout on the teleport as well. He had himself a flash and an ultimate. That could have been the flank teleport to start things off for them. There really was a story of how much damage Xiaoye could do to the grouped up targets as well as the CC immediately coming through from LGD. Clearing out 1 or 2 wards, they teleport in the Aatrox early, and this Nico's not here for what's going to happen with this Herald, which, as you rightfully said, is taken away by Meteor. That's an extra bonus for them. But the fact that they can immediately back up, stop Scout getting a big ult onto a clumped up target, and just allow the carries to do a load more. The threat of this Varus is just too much for them to walk into without immediately shutting him down.
Yeah. Xiaoye already doing so much. I mean, you saw how fast he gets through Hung's health bar. Obviously, Ricard not exactly a tanky champion, but that Varus ult followed by just sheer attack speed can certainly melt through health bars. The percentage damage you get from your W as well. Really, really valuable. You expect him to look terrifying later on in the game. Remember, this is a composition that has a lot of ability to kind of run away with a game. You've got a lot of scaling as well, though, for LGD, as they've found. Bit of a CC chain onto Hung. He's on the Rakan, so he'll be okay. And Gala just about flaps his wings away from Xiaoye's ultimate.
So Dragon is up. What ultimates have we got to work with? Well, no Varus ult now. That's important to note. But Scout still has Flash and ultimate. Maybe this could be the fight where it can make something work. But LGD, before they go into bot river, would like to secure themselves a mid lane push. Pin one of these LNG members under towers to get free access into bot river. There they go.
So LGD, great play around objectives so far this game, stealing that Herald away. 1-for-1 in Drakes to start with, but now grabbing their second one, getting the 3 grubs early on as well. It feels like, honestly, it feels like a more coordinated game right now from LGD than it does from LNG, which, I mean, at this point in the league, maybe it's to be expected, to be honest, but yeah, the discoordination early on from LNG in the bottom lane, a couple of good mid plays, but so far objective setup really hasn't been there.
This is kind of what we're worried about with this LNG team, which is, well, what happens with plan A, or in this case in the early game, what is plan A? Do you have that plan on the bot side? It felt like it should have been towards bot side 3v3, but that didn't quite work out the way that they wanted it to. It feels like they just, their plan B is pretty much always not, you know, extra power plays. It is, let's scale out and wait for people to come online. Now, they do have the bonus of having one of the best champions in the game to do that. Yeah, that little dragon recalling in the mid lane will be a big beast on late game with multiple stacks and multiple items. So LGD, I suppose they need to try and survive this first.
2 Casantes running at Haichao, not what you want to see. Haichao, unfortunately, that's his 3rd death of the game. We're really not having a good time of it. The rest of LGD going to be scratching their heads at this point, because everything else has been looking pretty tickety-boo.
Man, I haven't heard someone use that phrase in a while. That's nostalgic to me. But yeah, this was a teleport behind them. They had so much ward control before this. You can see a load of blue wards on the bot side of the map, but the last remaining teleport global from LNG. Zika's teleport gets 1 kill there, and LNG get a little bit of gold running their way as well. Gold advantage is absolutely huge at this point, but it feels like LNG, it's a nice stabilizer for them to stop LGD being able to get a lot of gold through side lanes and just allowing Haichao to get back into the game in his own right.
Yeah, we'll see if he can. He's on 1.5 items, has the Seeker's Arm Guard now, so the would-be stopwatch coming into play there. I'm desperate for the observers to click on Gala. I've been looking for the stacks for a while. I don't know if it's popped up and I've just not seen it, but curious where Gala's at. I know he's at least 125 because his Qs have started to splash at this point. But we are headed towards the point in the game where typically we see these smolders start to come online.
Realistically, it's kind of that 2 to 3 item mark, and then the 225 getting really out of control. As you can see right now, that is so loud, you're completely right. It's not going to save the turret, but Hung goes in.
Here we go, opportunity through.
Wow.
Okay, Scout redeeming the play here. JinJiao the first to go down, the bailout keeps him alive though as LGD starting the fight strong. Burdol doing so much damage but pulled out of the play by Zika, and suddenly LNG all over this one. Slow comes in, surely they dive for a little bit more gold into Gala's pocket. It's Zika to take the kill, but a fantastic fight from LNG.
LNG exploded to life. Feels like every fight they've had that's worked well has been through this mid lane, as LGD have either over-pushed or just not really respected the engaged potential from LNG. You've got a Rakan, you've got a Nico. Yes, one of them kind of goes in a little too early, but LNG walk away from that play very, very happy. Hung over the wall, pops his ult early, has himself a Zeke's convergence to give himself a little bit more damage to the other side of it, but he just gets absolutely popped because it's a little bit disconnected. It's still good enough though. Scout ends up using the opening which was created by the Rakan to allow an extra kill onto the Varus. As soon as the Varus is gone, you don't have a lot of damage. So much of LGD's gold is on that AD carry, and when he's gone, they can't fight.
Great follow-up there from WeiWei on Scout's initial engage as well to be able to finish the kill. Oh no, Haichao, no flash available. The rest of the team is coming and WeiWei knows it. Has to back away, but flash forced. WeiWei literally 1v1ing enemy solo lanes is really not a good position for LGD to be in.
What that means is that LGD, they can't really send this Orianna to a side lane to get good farm. And thinking about it now, you know, Haichao being put down in the early game, it's really opened up a big weakness here for LGD, because now they're going to have to play very respectfully around at least one lane of the map. This is, as you were saying, the JinJiao is going to be able to deal a lot of damage to Haichao. And now without that flash, he's going to have to be sat very deep into his own lane and very respectful about how he catches waves.
Even though objective setup hasn't looked fantastic, there are definitely criticisms you could levy towards LNG this game. All things considered, I'm leaning in their direction right now.
Oh, stacks, 186. Yeah, there you go.
There we go, getting close to 225. Scout's ultimates have been fantastic so far this game. WeiWei's follow-up on that has been fantastic. The kind of mid-jungle support trio looking really good early on into the game. And Gala has been farming up a Storm. More than 10 CS per minute on this Smolder. Getting very close to the execute as well. It does feel like things are ticking over for LNG. Even if it's not a perfect game, it's still feeling like a solid enough game. Conceding this Drake, that'll be 3 for LGD. But LNG, again, quite happy to play for this scaling of the Smolder.
I think if you don't take the fight there, that's fine. You don't have Scout Flash. Now, he could have teleported into the play, but I think once you've got that Nico Flash, it just makes things so much easier to land. Despite the fact that LNG did have a good flank ward for it, I think they just wanted to wait a little longer. Thing is, can you wait long enough if LGD do go towards Baron? Now, this one I don't think you can let go uncontested.
No, you cannot. And 2 items on the Orianna plus an on-hit Varus. They do this Baron pretty damn quick. Hung has to be the one to try and base check this one. TP in behind enemy lines from Zika, but it's going to be quite late. WeiWei arrives on the scene. It's the W in, all out from Gala. He's not quite on his stacks, but he might get it during this fight. Hung forced out of the play. 3k on the Baron. Xiaoya is going to go down. Zika saves the play. But can they win the fight as well? LNG still going for this one as WeiWei's on the front line, but he's just not tanky enough to make that play. And now Gala will be chased down, flaps over the wall. But I don't think you're escaping the world ender. Flash away. Baron stopped for now. Is LNG desperately trying to walk away with the lines?
Scout's got no turret.
Staying so long for a ward here. A bit of a weird one, honestly, from Scout. Is now surrounded on all fronts. There's no way he gets out of this one alive.
Oh, he's got himself a flash ult. How much damage can he do? I don't think he gets the kill back quite. He's delaying, but I don't think this will stop the inevitable. He goes down. Question is, with Scout taking so long to die, Can LGD start Baron? The answer is no. They channel the recalls, but all the same, LGD walk away with a 1 fight. They forced LNG to fight after they didn't really want to give them kind of like a pitched battle around the dragon. This is how things start. WeiWei gets into the pit. There's danger in terms of looking for a steal, but LGD managed to keep it at the HP where the Baron's not going to get smoked down just yet. Shy off the board is the Varus. Last time we saw these kind of fights, we thought, okay, well, Varus off the table. That means that the damage is going your way, right? Well, yes and no, because Gala's not able to do good DPS, and Scout's not in position really to get the combo either. So LGD walk away with a 1 fight despite the AD carry going down.
And we're getting to quite a scary point in the game right now for LNG because they've conceded 3 Drakes, which means the next Drake coming up in 3 minutes will be sold for LGD. We've got 3 items finished off on this Varus, so, like, let's be honest, Xiaoya is hitting at pretty much full capacity. He's going to be the strongest he gets in relativity to the other champions in the game. And LNG, they're going to have to start fighting. They're going to have to start participating in these plays. Gala can't quite finish the rapid fire cannon either, so not at that 3-item mark. LGD, it feels like they have control right now. Meteor, though, is stood on a ward. Looks like Hung and WeiWei could start something, but sees the ward, backs away.
Right. So Scout, teleport, flash, can use the same ward which Zika used for his own entrance into the fight last time. Will he channel it? He's a bit late. This Baron is at half HP right now. Here comes the teleport, but it's late.
TP onto that exact ward that you mentioned. WeiWei is over the wall. Are we actually going to 50-50 this? WeiWei goes into the mid present guard. Baron down. Scout gets onto the back line in the meantime. His support's already gone, and Gala's one-shot. Burdol, the world ender. And he's ending the world of LNG fans today. Zika runs for his life, but he won't get away with it. LGD a clean ace and a Baron to boot.
LGD force LNG away from their turtle shell. There will be no slow crawl back into this game. LGD force the fight, get the Baron, and they're going to start really pressing down on the base now. Teleports back out onto the map to make sure that they can make the most of these waves. And LNG with 2 different Baron fights, despite the fact that they had 2 different flank teleports in each one, fail at both attempts, and LGD should now be walking away with a huge late game advantage.
Can we just take a second to mention how absurdly good... Oh, Hung! Oh, hail of arrows just an inch away there. Hung just about gets away with his life, having a hard time on the recon, but look at Burdol's scoreline. Look at these fights from Burdol. 9, 1, and 3. 3.5 items now. And in that fight, he one-shot Gala.
And that's so important. Burdol is a player which had some inconsistent results at the start of the year. I think his career's been a little bit all over the place too. But right now, he is such a big reason when LGD do walk away with their wins. Meteor's going to get away as he's afforded a lot of tankiness from the gold lead, which LGD have. But particularly on this Aatrox, it felt like Burdol was the first player in the LPL to say, hey, this is how you play the flanking lethality Aatrox build. He's now in a good position again to potentially do some more damage as LNG would really like to not give over Hextech Soul among all of the other late game objectives that LGD have been starting to take.
Yeah, it feels a bit like a last chance here for LNG, doesn't it? Hextech Soul might just be final nail in the coffin if it goes down. Hung uses the quickness just onto Burdol. He is squishy, but he's got a lot of damage as well. Gala taking a chunk, but will get the shutdown. WeiWei in the meantime is taken down. The Drake is taken, so that's sold for LGD. And now a 4v4. LGD feeling confident, honestly, in this one, as they just force Scout away and move towards the mid lane.
And even though Burdol dies after we were just praising him, it's still for a good cause. The fact that they get the shutdown on Burdol and give it over to Gala, that is a problem. 1,000 gold over to the Smolder, that's not particularly helpful for LGD. But they get the soul for it, and I'm going to call worth. It means that LNG, when we kind of thought maybe it's last chance saloon for them, they end up losing out on the big objective, and now LGD can keep pushing it.
Yeah, Hung dashes over the wall, but I don't think he's getting away with this one. It's been a very difficult game for Hung consistently. Getting pretty much one shot when he tries to make these plays and just going solo to try and get vision there. Perhaps should have expected LGD to be in a more aggressive position. And now, I mean, with a man advantage on top of all of the other advantages they've got, this is a chance to push. Damage onto JinJiao, and it will clear the way.
That route from Scout over the wall sets up for a nice kind of push-breaking combo. Means that LGD That will be the last of their Baron push, and they will achieve nothing more. With that one, the damage is kind of done, though. Huge gold advantage, got that dragon alongside it too, and they've managed to push back LNG's vision line, which, honestly, the vision control from LNG this game has been pretty good. They've been able to keep good vision uptime. They just haven't really been able to use that information to get themselves those big game-changing plays. And now with the gold in hand from LGD, see that Zhonya's are now in on both of the big carries. Varus has even gone for it, alongside the triple on-hit item core from the Varus, which means that if you're going in for the big play from someone like Scout or someone like Hung on this Rakan, it is much harder to get on top of these carries, which will end the game if they have a clean fight.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but we talked today about how LGD have looked a lot better than what their scoreline suggests, and they've had an incredibly tough schedule so far in the league. Coming in today, I still sort of expected LNG to be the favorite. LGD are looking pretty good today. Haichao getting caught out a few times, obviously not great. But aside from that, it's been a pretty clean game so far from LGD. No, they're playing the slow one against Smolder. We talked about how you can theoretically outscale the Smolder, not necessarily just straight up on damage, but on the way that you play the game and on the way that you have your own scaling damage sources. And it's feeling pretty good right now for LGD.
Feels like, so Smolder is a champion where if they get good Q uptime, just keep pinging Qs onto you, then you just kind of lose the game eventually to the DPS. So he's jumping forward right now, but they miss the engage.
Yeah, Hung misses everything there. Forced away. WeiWei stepping forwards to try and be a part of the play. Redemption comes down. Keep your eyes on Xiao as Haichao's caught on the top side of the play. Zika behind enemy lines. Sonya's comes on through from Xiao to keep himself safe, and it protects him from the Kasante ultimate. Scout trying to buy time with a shockwave onto two. Zika gets onto the back line. Maybe he can save the game, but I don't think so, because Burdol is destroying LNG, brings down the sword to smite them into triple kill. For him, as Xiao can't quite finish the enemy top, but it doesn't matter. LGD absolutely massacring LNG.
Is that Burdol or Sauron? It looks like the Dark Lord of the top lane. He smashes through the entirety of that fight and ends off a actually dominant game one from LGD over LNG. They didn't ever get themselves a clean fight around that Smolder.
Absolutely brutalized. And you know, one of the things we've criticized for LNG is their objective setup, but I feel like consistently this game we saw examples of that. It almost felt like they came in to give us a case study on like how on the struggles that they've been having this year so far. Really, really tough run from LNG, but LGD, nice, clean gameplay. Burdol just taking them apart. Fantastic game there. We're going to jump into